following program is a public access production. Comcast is required to provide time on this channel and make it available pursuant to franchise agreements with the communities we serve. Comcast is not affiliated with the following program or the producers of public access programming and is not responsible for the content. The following program does not reflect the opinions of Comcast or its affiliates.
Welcome to Chicago Theater Review. I'm Frank. Gail is not with us today. She's at a breast cancer run-a-thon, so hopefully she will finish. Darcy left us, our intern that we had for the summer, and we have a new intern, Devlin, and Devlin's going to be talking about a couple of the shows that he's seen. Being the beginning of a new season, we brought in the dueling critics, so we have Jonathan and Callie with us. Let's start off with the first show because there were 54 openings for this month. So we're going to try and get through some of them because I know Jonathan wants to talk about a lot of new things that are happening. So the first place we're going to go to with the first opening was Marriott, Lincolnshire. And Marriott is doing For the Boys. And of course, this takes place in 1942. It was a great show, excellent musical, but I don't expect anything else from Marriott. And I'm sure you two are nodding that Marriott does good work. So what we're going to do is let's first see a clip from For the Boys from Marriott.
And some squeezing and some mugging and some teasing and some stuff like that's there. I want some petting and some spooning and some happy honeymooning and some stuff like that there. I used to think love was just a bunch of rubbish, a mess of cabbage, but now my attitude is wholly lovey-dovey. And baby, you've done it. And when I get a certain feeling, I confess it. There's really only one expression to express it. I want some hugging, squeezing, mugging, teasing, and some stuff like that there.
And that's Marriott's For the Boys, and that'll be playing until the end of October. From Marriott, Lincolnshire, we're going all the way to Indiana, Munster for Theater in the Center, which is doing Guys and Dolls, which was just done by Marriott last season. Now Lincoln, they're doing it this season. So what we'll do is, everybody knows about Guys and Dolls. We're going to go right into the clip, and let's play that.
Luck be a lady tonight. Luck be a lady tonight. Luck if you've ever been a lady to begin with. Luck be a lady tonight.
So let's keep the party polite.
Let's keep the party polite.
Have her get out of my sight.
Stick me here, baby. Stick here. Blow, blow. What's the matter? Roll the dice.
And that was Guys and Dolls at Theater in the Center. Now we're coming back into Chicago to a theater that I've never been to, and that is the House Theater of Chicago, which is at Chopin Theater.
Right.
And they have a great show, which was called Cyrano. And I know you guys saw it.
I saw it, and although I swore that I would never see another production of Cyrano de Bergerac because it is so depressing, I went to see this because the House Theater's readaptation of it I thought was likely to be good, and it turns out that I was right. It's very charmingly done. They've put music into it, although not very much. And the entire thing is played by a relatively small cast of people who spend a lot of time running up and down stairs and sword fighting. What is not to like? They've also shortened Cyrano considerably. One of the problems with the original version is that it's incredibly repetitive. You know that this guy with the long nose is going to spend his time being in love on behalf of someone else with this woman. And so House chooses just to cut to the chase. It is a very elegant and rapid fire Cyrano. I recommend it very highly.
I liked it. Did you see it, Jonathan?
I haven't seen it, but I do have a question, Kelly, for you, and Frank, for you. The original, Edmond Rostand wrote in the early 1900s or the late 1890s, was written, of course, in verse. And the famous English translation by Brian Hooker also is in verse. Do they do it in verse?
No, this is in prose and relatively contemporary prose. It enables the company to get directly to the heart of the story without any delay.
Let's show a clip of Cyrano so you can get an idea of what we're talking about.
Or not.
Or not.
I tell you now, you stand no chance, for at my poem's end, I'll strike. Oh, your thrusts are strong, but a bit off the mark. Are you having trouble with your aim? Cease and desist. You should fight no more. Go, smother your face in shame. Do you have the wit to recognize this? Should I hurt you, strike you, kill you dead? I just stole from Shakespeare. You don't know it? Plays Marlowe instead. Got her.
Now that was, as you noticed, the set was very simple. It's just a piano.
Well, it's just a piano, except you have to realize that the House Theater has built an entire balcony playing space specifically for this show.
And that's what I was going to ask you, because I've been there once before, and that was like maybe 2 years ago, and they had a regular set, and now this time they built this whole, I thought maybe they just built the second floor for...
I thought so as well, but no, it turns out that that is the set. And they did it specifically so people could sword fight up and down. It's really fun and exciting.
And you know what, it's a short play, which I like. It holds your attention, and I love the sword fighting. So I give it a high recommendation. And the nicest thing is it's near a place where I went to it for the first time. You've probably been there, Margie's Candies.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes, it's a perfect setting to go have an ice cream soda
Never been there
afterwards.
before, and my first time there was an hour wait at 10 o'clock at night, and it was the
Well,
best
that'll
ice
teach
cream.
you to go on Saturdays. See, if you go on Thursdays, you can get your hot fudge sundae without waiting.
Ah, see.
Go on Thursday in February.
From there, we're going to go to another show, and that's called Waiting for Lefty. And I didn't see it, but Devlin, you saw it?
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's just like a series of vignettes of these people that are waiting for this strike to start. They're waiting for their leader, Lefty, to come. And so you see this series of vignettes of these people, their lives, you know, they're losing all their money and they're coming together for the strike at the end of the show. So it's interesting to see it come together. And it's just an hour long.
I thought it was thrilling.
So a quick, short play.
Loved it. And they had members of the cast in the audience. So the guy who sat down next to me said, "Is this the first meeting you've been to?" And then you realize that that you're at a strike meeting.
They're passing out buttons.
Oh,
Well,
it was really heaven.
This is, of course, one of the famous, great American plays by Clifford Odets written during the depths of the Depression. And the famous story is that at the opening night in 1932 or 1934 on Broadway, the play ends with the members of the union having to decide whether to go on strike or not. And supposedly, spontaneously, the audience jumped up and started shouting, "Strike! Strike! Strike!"
And you won't
Clifford
see that
Odets.
today, though. And now in today's economic ways, I don't think people will be saying that.
Actually,
as much.
by the end of that show, I don't know whether you had the same experience. The audience was all fist in the air, strike.
Oh, were they?
It's very
It was
moving.
very inspiring.
Well, we should say that it's playing at Victory Gardens Theater, and that's at the
It's
Biograph.
the American Blues Theater.
Right.
American Blues Theater production.
Right,
Okay.
upstairs at the
That's-
Biograph.
Yeah.
Because don't they have their own theater, I thought?
No, that's American Theater Company, which is the company from which American Blues split off.
You know, I always get that so confused.
Yeah, they want you to.
Well, let's go to our next show, which is going to be Ellis's Adventures Underground. Now, I know you've seen them.
No, I have not seen
haven't
it,
seen
but
it?
I've
Jonathan
seen
has
it.
seen
You've
it.
seen
I've
it.
seen
Okay.
it. This is opening up, I believe it's something like the 32nd season at City Lit Theater Company. For some years now, working out of the Edgewater Presbyterian Church. They like to adapt classical literature not originally written for the stage. Alice's Adventures Underground is an adaptation by the notable playwright Christopher Hampton of the original by Lewis Carroll. Not to be confused with Alice in Wonderland. Much of the material is similar, but Alice's Adventures Underground was an earlier, shorter version. And this is a very faithful adaptation. Now, all the characters, the Red Queen, the White Queen, the Rabbit, Tweedledum and Tweedledee, the Walrus and the Carpenter, all of the characters are played by a total of 6 actors taking multiple roles. One also plays Alice, one plays Lewis Carroll. And it's a rather faithful and literal adaptation, so you get the richness of Lewis Carroll's language. But it is all about the acting, the character acting, rather than elaborate fantasy sets or fantasy costumes. So you're really honing in on the language and the nature of the characters. Now, Christopher Hampton also has injected a little bit of documentary material about the life of Lewis Carroll, the pen name of the Reverend Charles Lutwidge Dodson. So that's intermingled, but mainly it's a story. It sounds like it should be for children, but it really is fairly adult matter.
Okay. Now, Devlin, you saw it too then, didn't
Yeah,
you?
yeah, I did.
How did you like it as a younger person?
Oh, I loved it. I thought it was really fun. The characters are so exciting, and they're like diving on tables and standing on the fireplace, and it's not about elaborate sets. It's one simple set, and they're all over the place. They have so much fun. It's a good time.
So now we should mention that that's playing at Cedar Lit Theater, which is in the Presbyterian Church in Edgewater, which is part of Chicago, which I have to admit, didn't know about it, considering I live in the big pink building. You would think that
you
which
would
is
know.
50 yards away.
Right,
50 yards
exactly, exactly. Yes,
Right
Edgewater,
across-
the
right
place
across-
right south of Chicago, of Rogers Park.
Yeah. So right from Edgewater, we're going to go right to Oak Park for Circle Theater's production of Urinetown. First time Urinetown came out was in New York. I was there, and I said, do I really want to waste my money on a play called Urinetown? Until I finally saw it, and it is really it's a comedy. And it's basically, to me, it has that Batman Gotham look, where it's very mechanical, and they have a drought, and so the people can't use their toilets anymore, so there's a ban on toilets and water, so they have to use a public-owned toilet.
They
and have to pay.
privatize urination.
They privatized it.
What an attractive way to put it. Yes, I saw Urinetown in New York. I have not seen this production at Circle Theater, but the show actually comes out of Chicago, as you probably know. A pair of University of Chicago undergraduates created it, and they have since gone on to do a series of other shows. But Urinetown is simultaneously a comment on environmentalism and satire of every musical show you've ever seen.
It really was. Let's see a short clip of Urinetown.
Life is many things. Look deeper. You will see it. I do. I see it. A little bunny. He's living class without a care. He's so delightful as he falls for you. You say, hi, buddy, and he stops for you. You pull your tray out and he comes for you. Hello, rabbit stew. Get me, boys. You have a boss. Don't be things to do.
Well, now, Circle Theater has a budget, so with their budget, they can't do clips. So I had to plagiarize a clip off of YouTube to give you an idea of Urinetown. And you already figured out who those people were. So that's Urinetown playing at Circle Theater, and I recommended it. It was a very good show. Now we're going to go to another new show. We're going back to Timeline, which is in Chicago, a show that I really liked and didn't know anything about it until I walked in there. The Pittman Painters.
Yes, a terrific show.
Excellent show. And the nice thing about Timeline, they always do shows with history behind them, it seems.
Right,
A major-
that is their focus, exactly.
That is their focus. It was an excellent show. This was done by the same man who wrote Billy Elliot. And it's a wonderful show. It deals with Northern England and a bunch of coalmen who want to try and get some education, so they take an art appreciation course. What did you think of it?
Well, I loved it. I mean, it's very moving to watch these uneducated miners become artists in their own right. What I thought was interesting about it was how similar it was to another play that Timeline had done called The History Boys, because both of these plays talk about the dynamics of class struggle in England as played out in a classroom. And so there's the very posh professor who doesn't mean to be putting down his working class students, but actually is doing so. And the same dynamic held during The History Boys. This didn't in any way ruin the play for me, but I did think, okay, probably Timeline ought to give British class struggle in the classroom a rest for a little while. But the performances are impeccable, and the theater is done with huge black and white photographs taken in the coal mines. And so going into the theater puts you really in the depths of the coal mines and gives you a sense of what it was like in the late Depression and during the Second World War for these coal miners in Northern England.
I enjoyed it. We do have a clip of that show, so let's play that clip.
Ah, well, what do you mean what it means? What do you mean what it means? We mean the meaning. Exactly, but what do you mean by the meaning? What the hell do you think we mean by the meaning? That's what we hired you for. Look, if you didn't know the meaning of the meaning, what bloody chance have we got?
No, you see, that's the whole point of these sessions. What something means is not self-evident.
What do you mean it's not self-evident? It's a picture. It's there on the wall. It's clear as day.
Look, all we want to do is look at a picture and see what you see in it. Well, now, what I see in it is informed by all the other paintings I have seen. Does that mean it has no meaning for you?
Well, to be quite honest, no it doesn't. Now look, we don't want to work all day and then come up to look at pictures of bloody challenge, man.
Oh, we want to see art that means something. Yes, well, all art means something. Does it? Look, we just want to know the secret behind what's going on. But there is no secret. It's all up there in front of you.
Well, there must be a secret to it.
Of course there's not.
Well, if there's no the secret, how come we didn't know what's going on?
Look, I think you're looking for the wrong thing. I mean, there is no secret to art. That's the whole point. It's all up there in front of you. There's nothing to understand. The point of a painting is how it makes you feel.
So that was the Pittman Painters, and that's at Timeline Theater. I liked it, you liked it, so we got to tell everybody to go see it. From there, we're going to go to a new show that opened up, and that's called Farragut North. And
I have not had a chance to see it, although I love the work that Stage Left does.
it's a political show, and basically it deals with a young man who's in his 20s who works for press. He's a press campaigner for political offices, people, and he's a Democrat. And he's got a name for himself. He's doing very well. So now he's going into a person who now wants to run for president. And so he...
So this is the biography of David Axelrod?
Almost like, it's a lot like it. And he gets into a moral dilemma. The other opposing team, which is, I would say, the Republican Party, offers him a job. And even though he doesn't take it at first, they show him some damaging stuff about his party, and he knows some damaging stuff about the other party. And he has to make a decision. Well, the decision turns out to be probably maybe the wrong decision. But the way they did this was when you walk in, they have all these pieces of paper and they give you a marker. And they ask you the question, what is important with your politicians? Ethics or morals or who they know? And they want the audiences to participate in this.
It's a very contemporary question.
And especially in Chicago. So it's a short play. It's only about 2 hours long with intermission. It keeps you going. It's a very short stage that they did, but they did a pretty good job, and I kind of enjoyed it. So from that, if you like shows that deal with lust and power, This is the one to go see then.
And who doesn't?
And who doesn't? We're in Chicago.
That's stage left.
And that's at stage.
Who are now performing at the Theater Wit space on Belmont, not
Yeah.
at their old longtime
And I
theater.
like the way they redid the Theater Wit, and now even the theater building next door is under renovations.
Stage 773, as they call
Yes,
it now.
now they call
Yes,
it now.
both of those are really terrific
Yeah.
spaces in which to see theater.
And Stage 773, by the way, now has reopened. They have finished their renovations
yeah,
and
that's
it's open
beautiful.
for business. Yeah.
So as I saw all the signs up, I haven't been in there yet. So from there, we're going to go to the next show, which is Putting It Together.
The Stephen Sondheim review.
You love Stephen Sondheim, I think.
Well, it's interesting. I love Stephen Sondheim. Who doesn't love Stephen Sondheim? The difficulty with putting it together, which gets a terrific production. Nothing can be taken away from the production. But putting it together makes you think, oh my God, Stephen Sondheim is simultaneously a misogynist and a misanthrope. So that by the time the show is over, you think, life is a howling desert of despair. That's not usually what I look for when I go to see a musical. So it is extremely well done. McKinley Carter, and I believe that you have a clip of her, particularly plays one of the older women. And the review sort of suggests a series of romantic relationships gone bad, rather than having a real plot. It's done extremely well by all four of the company members and by the music director, who's also the pianist. And nonetheless, I came away thinking, oh my God, if I never see another Stephen Sondheim show, it will be too soon.
Let's see a clip of that first before I give you my interpretation.
I'm crazy for thee. Every word, every line, every glance, every movement to improve and refine, then refine each improvement. I think putting it together, piece by piece, working on the vision night and day. When it takes time and perseverance, dealing with details along the way.
The producer's interference.
Waiting for the author's disappearance.
Filling in the holes with animation.
Covering the flaws in the construction.
Lacking a scenic ostentation. This is not a Drury Lane production. Looking for a tiny compensation. Hoping for a thunderous ovation. The art of making art is putting it together.
So that's Putting It Together. That's playing at Theater Wit. And so Kelly says see it, so if she says it, you better go see it.
It's playing at Theater Wit, but it's the presentation of Porchlight Music Theater.
Okay.
The first production under their new artistic director, Michael Weber.
That's right, because the other one left. Now he opened up, isn't he going to the, is it the Mercury that he went to?
L. Walter Stearns, co-founder, longtime artistic director of Porchlight, is now the executive producer, or whatever the title is, at the Mercury Theater on Southport.
And I haven't seen anything there yet, so
No, nor I, not
hopefully
under
it's
his
coming
leadership.
up. The next show is Waiting for Lefty. And
Didn't we just talk about
We
Waiting for
did.
Did we
Lefty?
talk about
It's on the
that?
list twice.
We did.
Guess what? We're not going to
We
talk
can
about
talk
that
about
one.
it twice if you want, because it's a very inspirational show.
How about Waiting for Righty?
Yeah, right, exactly.
Which is the Tea Party equivalent
You know
of
what?
Waiting for Lefty.
Exactly.
It's going to put me into the show that I really dislike,
Okay.
which you love.
Lay it on us.
Drury Lane is doing Sweeney Todd.
Yes.
And it's a Sondheim show. First time I saw Sweeney Todd, I'll be honest, I loved it because it had a wonderful cast. The woman that made the role famous,
Angela
Lansbury.
And Len Cariou as in the title role.
And I saw that and I loved it. But every other production, his music is like nails on a chalkboard.
Well, I love to agree with you, Frank, but in this case, I absolutely can't.
What did you
Having
think?
said I never want to see another Sondheim show, Sweeney Todd is certainly an exception. This is, to my mind, and I think Jonathan agrees, the definitive production of Sweeney Todd. Everything about it is right. It's exciting, it's well sung, it's well danced, it looks gorgeous, the projections are good. And there's simply nothing wrong with it. It is a great show and everyone should see it.
It is a great show. Everyone should see it. If you are a Sondheim fan, if you are a musical theater fan, if you have never been a Sondheim fan, go out and see it. This is a show, it does have, some of it is like fingernail scratching, but there also are some beautiful melodic passages, and this production, the musical direction, brings out the melodic portions gorgeously. The scenic design, the lighting design are high concept. Drury Lane Oakbrook, Drury Lane Theater Oakbrook Terrace has undergone a transformation since its founder, Tony DeSantis, died a few years ago, and production was taken over by his grandchildren. And they have poured new imagination and new resources into what they are doing. This is a big, lavish production, 27 people on stage, orchestra of 9, and it is one of the shows to be reckoned with, certainly this season and maybe for many seasons to come for musical theater.
So what's coming up this season that you really want to see?
Well, immediately, I think it's going to be a very, very strong season, Frank, but immediately there are 3 shows at 3 of our Tony Award-winning theaters. That's coincidental. But 3 award-winning shows by playwrights who have emerged out of Chicago, and now they're coming back with their most recent hits. All these shows either are running now and will continue into October. First of all, at Victory Gardens Theater, a play called In the Next Room, or The Vibrator Play, by Sarah Rule, who is very much one of the bright, well-regarded young talents among American playwrights.
And who came up through Evanston and the Piven Theater Workshop.
And the Piven Theater, exactly. And that is now running at Victory Gardens Theater. It was a big off-Broadway success about a year ago. This is the Midwest and the Chicago premiere of it. Then John Logan, better known now as a screenwriter, Any Given Sunday, Gladiator, Aviator, and so forth. But his most recent play, a multiple Tony Award winner on Broadway a year ago, Red, a 2-character play about the American abstract painter Mark Rothko. It is being done at the Goodman Theater with a wonderful cast, the first of 30 regional theater productions of this play across the country. It is a strong, powerful play. Logan is a brilliant language playwright, and he also understands that in film, you don't talk a lot, you have a lot of action. So that when he writes for the stage, he brings his full intelligence to the language and the words of the play. Finally, Bruce Norris, another actor and writer out of Northwestern University originally, he's found a home over the last decade or so at Steppenwolf Theater Company. His newest play, Clybourne Park, won the 2011 Pulitzer Prize for Drama, and it is in its regional debut production currently at Steppenwolf Theater Company.
Because I do want to see that one. I saw a clip for it. It really holds your attention, just that 1-minute clip, so I think that's going to be a great one.
Yes.
Well, and Clybourne Park, in addition to being by a Chicago writer, is an homage to another play out of Chicago, A Raisin in the Sun by Lorraine Hansberry, and is based on, A Raisin in the Sun is based on a true story about the desegregation of Chicago housing. So that although Clybourne Park doesn't specifically say that it takes place in Chicago, it is a profoundly Chicago idea.
And it's a show that has a wonderful twist to it. I mean, it takes place over a 50-year span, because it takes place in the 50s when a white person sells their home, and they don't know it, but the realtor sells it to a black family, and then of course from that starts a community problem, and then 50 years later now you've got the opposite, where a black family now sells to a white family, and what tensions that cause. So it's a wonderful twist, and I really want to see it. So
the exploration of gentrification is bound to be exciting. Bruce Norris, like John Logan, is an exceptionally smart playwright and thoughtful about contemporary issues.
And as usual with you two, we are out of time. I want to thank you both for being on the show.
The pleasure is mine.
Indeed.
You've got to come back. I mean, we're trying to get you back, but our time schedules have been so weird. And I know you've got an engagement to go to this afternoon, so that's why we're going to try and get you out on time.
We'll come back when there's more theater to talk about. That's tomorrow, isn't it?
There's a lot. So I want to thank you all. Devlin, I'll see you on the next show. We'll see you all in 2 weeks with another show. From Chicago Theater Review, I'm Frank. See you next time.